The problem now is anything Russia, the press runs to scandal. My point here is the Watergate comparison, the Enron comparison, that everything is a scandal comparison. One of the reasons the press has lost credibility with the American people is because everything is a scandal.
Well, they're brought up on that it was
nothing
dismissed by an administration. And you're right, there's no comparison yet. It's dismissed by an administration, then later on to come to find that there was more there.
But we've also found the press has overreacted and there was less there.
All right, so Ari Fleischer is saying, you know, all this hullabaloo about another scandal in the making or a collusion crisis or another Watergate thing, everyone calm down here. That is not a view widely shared in the media right now, which is sniffing something, obviously, especially these latest developments of an 8th guest at that Donald Trump Jr. meeting, and he was a Russian. So, to Daily Caller News Foundation Editor-in-Chief Chris Bedford, who says everyone just step way, way back. Chris, good to have you, but the media won't let go. What do you make of that?
They won't let go, and for conservatives and Republicans looking at this, it may seem a little bit familiar. Over the years that President Barack Obama was president, we had a lot of different scandals and small things, and something that the conservatives always and almost always did was a massive, massive overreach that lost the interest of the American people. Now today you see that coming from the Democrats. You've got Don Jr. in this meeting, Donald Trump Jr. Was the meeting stupid? Yeah. Was it suspicious, even more suspicious than the average opposition research meeting, which is always kind of weird? Yes, it was. But then people start throwing around accusations of treason. The American people kind of tune out because it's really clear. That crime is defined in the U.S. Constitution. It is clear this is not treason.
You know, I agree with you on that. It's way too early to even start talking like this. But does the media sort of complicate its cause when, or the administration, I should say, Chris, by arguing that there were no such meetings, and then lo and behold, from Donald Trump Jr. himself, an acknowledgement that not only were there at least one, but he arranged it.
This is another thing that should look familiar to conservatives looking at the other side. The Donald Trump administration is kind of doing a little bit what Hillary Clinton's campaign often did, which was sit on all the facts and let things drip out bit by bit. And when that happens, even the most innocuous thing, like a meeting about opposition research,
what do they do about that, Chris? I agree with that. You know, this stuff comes out. I say get it all out. If there's anything that even hints, even if you had, you know, a salad with Russian dressing, get that out there. You know what I'm saying? Get it all out there.
Absolutely, because if you wait too long and you let the New York Times or the Washington Post or another one of these organizations uncover that for you, they're going to paint the narrative, they're going to say how this looks, and they're going to decide what it is. The Trump administration instead ought to come completely clean and tell people this is what happened. Some of it's going to look kind of stupid and embarrassing, like this last meeting did, but it's not going to look like treason.
All right. You know, in the meantime, I want to switch to health care because the president, we're going to be getting a spray from the White House very soon, but he has been commenting on the failure of the Senate rework on health care, saying that he's disappointed Republicans did not repeal and replace Obamacare. He goes on to say that we're very disappointed because we have been hearing about repeal and replace for 7 years, but said that Republicans who came out against the health care plan were not being disloyal. So he's kind of walking a bit of a fine line there, frustrated, but not taking it out on the team just yet. What do you make of that?
He is frustrated, and sometimes people read too much a little bit in and they say, wow, Donald Trump's attacking the GOP. But guys like you and me, we remember, well, we know what a Donald Trump attack looks like. It's really obvious. This is more of a gentle pushing. And what's interesting is I've never seen conservatives quite as energized as they were by a Republican failure as I've seen today and late last night when my phone started blowing up around midnight and I had to jump out of bed and write a story. The Republicans or conservatives always wanted to go with a clean repeal because they thought that the horse trading necessary for the Senate to do repeal and replace would totally water it down. That's what guys like Rand Paul, groups like Heritage Action have been arguing. And now they've got Mitch McConnell, they've got President Trump and Vice President Pence all in their corner.
Do you think they'll be a little bit more on point on the tax thing? Because I'm getting a sense from the reaction from conservatives and moderates to what the House Budget Committee has come up with on a budget over the next 10 years. They both hate it, for example, that they're still a long way from unanimity there.
They are. Tax reform is something that a lot of people in the Senate have said that they wish they tackled first now. And tax reform is likely going to be even harder than Obamacare. I think one thing that the Republicans have going for them here, the moderates as well as the conservatives, is if they get repeal done with Obamacare, they get that off the table and they put a 2-year-long runway for them to be able to accomplish this and come up with a new solution. Without that horse trading necessary, without any of the grandstanding, they could bring more moderates and more conservatives all to the table to come up with an actually true Republican health care plan and hopefully get on to tax reform before the next election comes around.
All right, we'll watch it very, very closely. Chris Petrodilli, Caller News Foundation.